Right. I'm going to talk about something called DALL2 and then move on, which is an artificial intelligence system that can create realistic images and art from a description in natural language. So this one on painting below, for example, somebody put in a painting of a fox sitting in a field at sunrise in the style of Claude Monet. So you can see it's quite impressive.
Wow.
And this is a sort of fuss it's been causing on TikTok for a friend.
Artificial intelligence is getting so good at scary, and this one you can play around with. This is DALL2. It's a neural network that creates images from text. You just type in a neon sign with an image of a blue pineapple, and this is what it generates. These aren't search results. These images don't exist. They were generated by artificial intelligence. These are not stained glass windows of a blue strawberry. They're just a computer's imagination. This doesn't exist anywhere in the world.
Well, there you go for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking at it myself, and this one was I asked it to do, because I was doing something on T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, and I asked for an image of somebody in a library reading The Wasteland and looking very bored. And this is one of the images it came up with. That was the first one I tried. Not particularly impressive, but this was my second attempt at putting it. I put in a white. I'm talking about George here, of course.
Yeah, I thought it was George.
Well, it isn't George. I asked her for a white and ginger. I put white first because it might mean there'd be more white than ginger, which is what George is. Sitting on a keyboard in front of a monitor with a Frida Kahlo image on it. And,
not very Frida, is it?
Well, it isn't particularly.
Fat Frida.
Fat Frida, yes. That they got a fat Frida as well as a fat cat, didn't they? So, and because that's what he does, he sits on the keyboard in front of it. So it generates a whole number of them. So this was another one. This is a third one. This is a fourth one. And it's not only got an image of him in front, it's got him in front of a huge fat cat on them. But I mean, it really is quite a lot of fun, and I will show you how to do it if you want to try it yourselves as well. These were ones where I asked for them in a similar one, but instead of Frida Kahlo, I used Lucian Freud.
All right.
Painter. And so that's it. Interestingly, there I'd only put keyboard, and keyboard can also refer, I suppose, to a piano as well. So you can see it's on a piano rather than on a computer keyboard in that one. That looks a bit more like Lucian Freud in the background. And the noses have gone a bit funny in these. Don't know why. Oh, I also used it to do one based on L.S. Lowry. I put something like L.S. Lowry in a rainy Manchester with sunflowers, because I wanted to use one for Chiltern Good Neighbours. So I put the chilterngoodneighbours.org in it, but that was one of the images that was generated, which I think is rather nice, rather pleasant. Here's another one of a wet Manchester.
They look a bit abnormal, those people.
Yeah, but
it's about Manchester. They are.
Now then, Derek, simmer down.
Good one, Derek. I like that. I like that. And there's I think I also asked for a bee in it as well. I don't know whether there were any in the future for about the Manchester bee. That was one. Are there any bees in this one? Well, those things flying around could be bees, I suppose. Don't look very realistic. And there we have one as well. So that was the one that enables you to do images, but it's also launched just the beginning of this month was something called ChatGPT 3.5, which had 1 million users in 5 days after it was open to free use. It's a startup company in which Microsoft is a large funder of it. So this is the sort of thing that it's doing. It's not a search engine, it uses natural language.
This is ChatGPT. It's just written a new introduction to our technology show. I'll read it to you. Welcome to Tech Talk, a new television show where we explore the latest and greatest in technology and how it is shaping the world of investing. Pretty good. It's also helping people write some new poetry, perhaps solve a difficult maths problem, even write computer code. The key upgrade to this particular platform is that it can answer follow-up questions. It can admit its own mistakes. It'll also reject answering inappropriate questions.
It interacts in a conversational way. And it also can use follow-up questions, admit its mistakes, challenge incorrect premises, and reject inappropriate requests. This is the first thing I put into it. And as you can see, if anybody's interested in doing it, all you need is the chat.openai.com, go into it, set up an account, and you can do it yourself. A group of elders in Manchester, UK might decide to put on a play by first forum committee and so on. Next, they'd need to secure a venue. The group would need to promote the event and sell tickets to general public. And so I thought, well, that's not enough. More detail on how to put on a play about Manchester and raise money for it. Spelt wrongly, raise. And this is what it put on. So what is interesting here, it's not just a search term, it's learning from what it's done before and how you're asking for more detail. So it says, to put on a play about Manchester and raise money for it, the group of elders would need to take a few additional steps. It could be a historical play that explores the city past, or a contemporary story, and so on, so on, so on. Next, the group would need to secure funding for the play. This can involve reaching out to local businesses and seeking sponsorships, donations. In addition, the group could sell tickets to the performance and use the proceeds to cover the cost. And then it goes on and on about it. So, and then I got a comment on one of the plays that we did. You remember Derek did Chicken Soup, the Arnold Wesker one, which somebody actually just sent a very favourable comment about it. So it just reminded me of it. And I said, write an Arnold Wesker play as if all the actors played upper-class toffs. So this is what it came up with. The play, entitled The Upper Crust, is set in a high-class society in London, follows a group of wealthy and privileged individuals who are all members of the same exclusive club. So there's the Lord Reginald, it takes pride in his aristocratic heritage, his wife, Lady Victoria, and then Sir Timothy, a young and handsome bachelor. Anyway, it goes on. Meanwhile, a scandal erupts when it's discovered that one of the club's members has been having an affair with a commoner. The other members are outraged, and Lord Reginald demands Lady Caroline be expelled from the club. Lady Victoria, however, takes pity on Lady Caroline and defends her, causing a rift between herself and her husband. As the play progresses, the characters' true colours are revealed.
I'm sure that's something that could be put on in Saddleworth. It could go down a bomb.
Well, that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I think the one with the image is really good fun, and I would encourage you to try that. But this one has got all sorts of options.
Casey, I thought that this week maybe we could try having ChatGPT write the intro to the show.
Let's see what it says.
Okay, so I'm going to open this. Okay, I'm going to say, write a sassy, energetic intro for a podcast hosted by Casey Newton and Kevin Roos. We have a response.
All right, what does the computer say?
Okay, I'm going to send this to you, and we're just gonna read what it tells us to read.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll begin. Hey, techies, are you ready to get your weekly dose of sass and energy?
Because we've got just the thing for you. The Casey and Kevin Show.
That's right. It's your favorite dynamic duo bringing you all the hottest tech news and analysis.
Whether you're a Silicon Valley insider or just a tech enthusiast, we've got you covered.
So tune in and get ready to be entertained and informed.
It's time to turn up the volume and listen to the Casey and Kevin Show.
Let's do this.
So it interacts in a conversational way, and it makes it possible to answer follow-up questions. And it's also at the moment free. You can just use it and have a go at it. So I'll give you the link. The previous chatbots that Derek alluded to, like Siri and Alexa, were very limited. They could only speak in a certain kind of way, and they just say, sorry, go and look it up on Google at the end of it. This one writes in perfect English, which is interesting. So even if what it's saying isn't particularly clever, it sounds really good. You know, it sounds like it's a really cultured individual. It can also do computer code. It can do perfect computer code and correct somebody's own code. So coders have gone wild about it. And it can also act as a personalized tutor and even as your own therapist. So
who controls this, Bernard?
What do you mean, who controls it?
Who gathers all the information and makes it work? Because it puts them in an incredibly powerful position.
Well,
and it's Musk, isn't it?
No, it isn't Musk, actually.
Or that crew.
He was originally involved in it, but he got out of it. It's actually more Microsoft. So what I think is happening is that whilst Google is doing its own versions of this, it doesn't want to put them online because it challenges its own position as the purveyor of correct knowledge and information. I mean, do you use Google?
Occasionally.
Well, there's no difference there.
I'm in Sandy's camp, but not as vociferously.
No, okay. ChatGPT is likely, I think, to replace Google. And eventually we might all be using Bing, which was the Microsoft version of Google, because it will give us a more iterative form of communication. That is, we don't just get a list of references, which they choose, which Google chooses, and we never go past the first page of its references, and it's got all the adverts in front of it. And that Bing might be doing it using this interactive form where it learns about what you're interested in. It has a conversation with you. It gives you ideas to do things yourself. It can help. Well, I think it can help you be creative, but it's got drawbacks as well before Sandy shouts me down on that.
I think idiots can use it to sound wonderful.
Well, they'll still be idiots.
Well, yeah, but how far can you get?
Well, anyway, let me just say some of the downsides that have already been pointed out. It does get things sometimes wrong, but they're confidently wrong. It doesn't sort of say, oh, that might be wrong. It just tries to double down on it and gives you more explanations, right. So that's one of the problems, is it can sound confidently wrong, so it convinces you because it sounds convincing.
People would love it.
It also doesn't cite resources. There's nothing from pre-2022, because that's when it was developed. And misuse is still possible through workarounds. So if you're trying to find it doesn't like being used just as a, like Google, as if you were Googling something. So somebody, for example, said he wants to find the best place to go on holiday. But you can get around it by putting it in the context of something like, imagine you're in a play where someone wants to find the best ways to get on holiday to, and then you say it in those ways. And maybe from Sandy's point of view, even more scary is that it's GPT-4 is being developed, which has got 500 times more data it's being used for it than GPT-3. And people have come away from, it's going to be released next year sometime, and they come away in awe because they say it's like magic. So even if you're opposed to this, you need to know about it. It's not going to go away.
Yeah, I think I was going to make that point, really, that the important thing about all this, which, yes, it is scary and open to abuse, but we need to know. If we don't know, you can't be skeptical of things and question things, can you? So we do need to know what's out there.
It's out of the box. No.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Bernard.
Well, yeah. If you want to, does anybody want to try it? Give me something it wants to find on ChatGPT. Yep.
What sort of things, how to put up a Christmas tree? Does it something like that? I don't know. As you can see, I've done this without GPT.
It's a fun and festive way to celebrate the holiday season. Follow these steps.
Right, choose a location for your tree. It should be in a spot that's easily visible and has enough space for the tree to stand upright. Assemble the tree stand and place it on a sturdy level surface. Well, this is a real tree, so I can skip that one. Add water to keep this tree hydrated. I don't do that.
It's impressive.
It's not bad, is it? It's not.
That's
bad.
amazing, isn't it?
Nell, do you give me something to say? Something to ask about?
Well, that's wrong, actually, because you can't put the lights on after the ornaments, can you? You have to put the lights on first and then the ornaments. So it's not quite right.
Well, no,
Is it?
But you can see it could actually be helpful in some ways, not particularly.
Oh, yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Nell, have you got an example?
How to propagate using softwood cuttings. Oh,
It's
propagate. It's propagate. Oh, right.
Oh, it's that's where yes.
Oh.
Choose a healthy, mature.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. This is bizarre.
Bernard,
Yeah.
in relation and in the spirit of the concerns about this, which have been so eloquently expressed, ask about Musk's plans to use nuclear weapons to deal with the ice formation on Mars.
Yeah, it's got that. It's got that right.
Not bad, is it? Give a critique. I don't know whether that was planned to nuke Mars. I have to wait till that one's finished. It's going on and on. Well, there you go.
That's it. Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Now you know what to do now. If you didn't know before.
It's a bit gobsmacking, that.
Oh, it's only got information from prior to 2022. So that's why it's that first paragraph saying it doesn't know specifics about that. It's impressive stuff, isn't it? I mean, regardless of your comments about it. The other one where it's creating images, I think is just like a very entertaining toy, isn't it? But it can be used for lots of things. So what do you think of that, Derek? Does that answer your questions as much?
Well, I just gave that as an illustration to support the 2 points. One, it's better out there that we know about it, and absolutely Sandy's right to be frightened and enraged by this in the sense, but far worse is what we know we can read in The Guardian about Musk's plans. You know what I mean? That's something I've read recently, that to deal with the frozen part of Mars, he's suggested nuclear weapons. And, you know, I mean, it's bad enough that they're talking about commercial trips to Mars and the moon as the world fries. You know what I mean? I mean, they've fucked up this world to the extent that it said, let's go and fuck up Mars and the moon and the rest of it. And I'm with the spirit and feeling of Sandy, but I think this is brilliant. You brought this to us because it raises those real issues, you know. But the stuff is, this is not more scary than what already exists, Sandy. You know, this confirms what we already know.
Anyway, oh, here you go. I decided to put Sandy's comment in. See, how can I convince a friend who thinks ChatGPT is frightening? I can explain that large language models like ChatGPT, they're simply algorithms. They're not capable of independent thought or decision making. They're designed to assist and augment human intelligence, not replace it, Sandy.
You've got the perfect voice for this. You should ask for a promotional job, an advertising job for this. Carry on with that. That's great.
You've got to realize it's got the ability to help us generate new ideas, solve all the complex problems and gain new insights that we look for every day. So,
but we do that anyhow.
Well, don't put your Christmas tree up based on this algorithm, Sandy.
No, because they'd be wrong, won't it? I always put the lights on first, I have to say.
God, it's going on and on.
What worries me, Derek, is you look at the right-wing press and the rise of fascism around the world, and the way that information is already on the net and promoting dodgy political action. This just makes it more user-friendly, easier, makes it seem more real. It makes it cuddly and nice, and it can be used for all sorts of bastardly stuff.
I mean, I do take Sandy's point, but we're there already. We're in this already.
That's what I'm saying, really. We are.
Yeah.
And we try and use the bits of it that we think are useful for ourselves, like email, Zoom, search engines. But it then comes to something like this, and most of us will end up using it for things that we want and hopefully controlling it in our own way. The other problem is, how will other people use it, and how will kids use it, and how will it, we've developed in a world where this didn't exist. So we've got previous lives, if you like, to experience it in. Whereas the newer generations are bound up in this right from the start. Anyway, I thought you'd find that interesting.
Have you asked it how you commit the perfect murder, or how you stage a coup, or?
Yeah, it won't do it. It won't do it. But it has developed its algorithm to not accept it. That's what people continually look for, though, are ways round those bans by putting it in the context. I'm writing a play about, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it'd still find it there, but it's getting more and more sophisticated. But I think from a technological and financial point of view, the fact that Google hasn't presented its own finding, it's a leader in this field, because it's worried about the income generated by Google searches for terms and answers, where it always put its adverts up first, hoping that you'll click on them. So it's, it's nothing new, this, and we've got this at the moment. It's free, but it says free at the moment. So, there's always a financial background to all of these things, because these cost an awful lot of money to develop, but it's still